the thing that is different that we see from the professional athletes that we represent and then the NIL athletes that we represent is that professional athletes are usually doing deals with very established brands. They're sophisticated. They have their own team of lawyers. They understand the landscape. With NIL, you have a lot of very local brands who have never done anything like this. And so they don't know what to look for. They don't know what's important. They don't know that there should be these guardrails. So we do see a lot of deals where it'll be name, image, and likeness in perpetuity. Categories that are sometimes what we're dealing with, that are incredibly broad. Like, it's a deal for a beverage company, and then they've included, every single kind of beverage that you can think about. And in a normal deal, you wouldn't see that. So there are a lot of things that we have to work through. And I think for some of those institutions where they are realizing that students need help and they're employing people to be in their compliance department to look over these contracts and to talk them through things, that's where things need to go. Because to your point, not everybody can have an agent. It doesn't make sense for everybody to have an agent, male or female. But for those that do have representation or somebody who understands how to read a contract, then those are the things you got to look for. But it would be great if we had like a template that the coaches could say, or the institution.
At least a starting point. Well, it would be tough, because I think the schools are in kind of a tricky place because they're not negotiating on behalf of their student athletes. They don't have, their legal departments that are geared up to say, and for NCAA rules, right, they're not supposed to facilitate this unless, there's a different state law. So it's hard to have just a standard agreement. The schools, I've seen them providing education to student athletes a lot recently, saying this is because, you have students coming, and I wouldn't have known this at 18 necessarily. I mean, I know it's different now, but what is NIL? How do you monetize it? What are the steps that you would want to take? And if you're looking at doing deals, keep in mind it's a contract. It's a legally enforceable document, and you should have somebody look it over. A lot of them are, the university is not going to give you advice on whether it's a good or a bad contract, because then again, you have a university giving legal advice, and what happens if it goes badly? Who do you look to? Do you look to the school? Do you look to, the lack of having an agent, or, there's always somebody that wants to be.
Yeah. I think the problem is if it's a $500 deal, what lawyer are you going to get to look at it?
Yeah.
You're going to, I don't know, like you just stand outside the law school or something and hope that somebody.
Well, you are seeing a lot of grad students. A lot of grad students are like business students and law students are like forming clinics to step in and help. And so that is a resource that could be free that they could rely on for things like that. But you need somebody. And there are some institutions that are very, very invested in this, and they know everything about NIL. They're explaining things to us about what their school is doing, what their state is doing, how their state's different than, maybe what other states are doing. And then there are other institutions that are asking us, like, how do we do this? How do we, navigate through these waters? And I think that's when it's problematic, because you have some student athletes who are at an institution where this is very prevalent, and others who are not, and they're just not getting the best advice.
Yeah, that's interesting. I remember as a student athlete, we used to have classes once a week. You had to go to like a class, and it was kind of talking about the confines of being a student athlete. And I wonder if those things still exist, and they could talk about, here's what terms like exclusive and perpetuity mean, just generally, so that would be great to have out there.
Even if you knew, though, one of the distinctions I see in my mind between the professional athlete and a collegiate athlete is partly because the professional athlete will have a team, but also because they're older, they have a plan. Like, they know, like, this is what I'm going to do, and then when I'm done doing this, I think I'll want to do that. But I mean, I think I changed my major 7 times in college, right? And I was a pretty studious person, and I changed my major 7 times. So, like, for a collegiate athlete, I think it might be hard, even if they understood the terms, to think through, what does this mean for me when I'm 25? Let's say it's a 5-year term, which wouldn't be crazy from a legal perspective. But what does that mean for me when I'm 25? And do I still have to post about, this? What if I don't like it anymore? What if I don't use it anymore? What if I, want to do something different? What if I decide I'm a vegan and I don't want to post about hamburgers anymore, right? Like, what does that mean for them. And I think some of it may be just talking to them about, like, this is what you're signing up for. You have to understand, you know, if you decide to be vegan and you don't want to post about McDonald's anymore, then you need to, that there might be some consequences.
Yeah, and that's not even to mention like the federal regulations about what you can post as an influencer that nobody's probably taught.
Right. The ads, the hashtag ad at the end. Yeah. You're not seeing a lot of that.
If nobody's talking to them about that, the FTC will. So we might need to roll something out just for that.